Okay, welcome back to the series where we flip our way from $500 all the way to a supercar. In today's video, we're going to the scrapyard to pick up the used engine. We're going to get it back to the garage, swap all the parts from the old engine to the new engine, get it all prepped to put back in the car. The scrapyard is only half an hour away, so we don't have a long drive to pick it up. So yeah, in this video, we're just going to pick up the engine, swap all the bits over, get it ready to put in the Astra, and then in the next video hopefully we can start putting it back in the car and getting it started, and hopefully it runs well without any problems. I don't know if you've seen the last video, but I definitely don't want to do that job over again. It was a very tight squeeze to get it out, so I'm guessing it's going to be a very tight squeeze to get it back in. But anyway, we're on the way to the scrapyard now. Should be there in the next 15 minutes. We'll pick up the engine and head back to the garage. I'll see you once I get back to the garage. Okay, so finally the new engine, well, new to this car engine is here in the garage. As you can see, it didn't come with anything. So we have to swap all the parts over from this. So like the injectors, the oil coolers, compressors, alternators, everything from that engine needs to go onto this engine. We might leave the AC compressor and the alternator off at the moment because it'll be easier to put the engine in because it was quite tight coming out. So we'll get the gearbox on, everything else except the alternator and the compressor. Swap all the bits over, turn the engine over, make sure there's nothing hitting anything. The scrapyard did say the engine was running before they dismantled it, but once I swap everything over, I'm gonna run some checks on it before we put it in, just in case there is something wrong with it, because I don't want to be taking it out and putting it back in for sure. It's just too much work. So that's pretty much all we're gonna do in this video. So we're gonna swap all the bits over, get it all prepped, and then in the next video we're gonna actually get it back in the car and hear it start for the very first time, and hopefully it runs as well as it should run. I think I'm gonna start with removing the gearbox from that engine. Once I remove the gearbox from that engine, I'll put it aside, and then I'll set up a wee area here, putting the engines side by side, facing the same direction and everything. And then I'll just start dismantling everything, swapping it from one engine to the other engine and so on. Hopefully everything fits. It is the same engine code, so everything should be fine. We need to then remove the rocker cover and put in all the injectors and everything else that needs to be put in. All the parts that are missing of that engine are inside the car. So technically I think we should have everything we need. I'm just praying to God that that engine that we got is okay and there isn't any issues with it. So once it goes in, I really don't want to take it out. I do have a warranty on the used engine that I bought, but like I said, it's not about getting it refunded or replaced. It's about actually the labor. I go to work and I have limited time, so I don't want to be putting it in just to take it out again. Anyway, let's get to work. I actually forgot I don't have any silicone. It is a Sunday today, so the shops do close in half an hour, so I'm going to run to the shop quickly, get some gasket, silicone, and then we'll get straight to work. Okay, we have the silicone for the gaskets and the gun. Now we're heading back to the garage to get to work. Okay, so we're back now. I'm gonna move this engine slightly over. We're gonna lift this engine up, get the gearbox off, and then as I said, I'm just gonna put them facing the same way, side by side, and then just start switching bits over. So let's get everything into place, get the gearbox off, and get to work, I guess. Okay, so that's where I want it for now. We'll do this side, the top, and then turn it around, do the other side. Now to the gearbox. Well, first I think I'm going to lift it off the ground. It'll be easier, and then we'll do all the gearbox bolts and just pull it right off. Okay, so we have the engine in the air now. It's going to be a lot easier to get to all the bolts to the gearbox. So what I'm going to do now is just undo everything, and the gearbox should just drop down to the floor. We'll move it off to the side and then get the engine beside the other one. And I'm not sure where we're going to start, but we'll just start unbolting everything, and hopefully within a few hours, everything that's on this engine will be on the other one. Fingers crossed. it back on the floor and pry it open. So as you can see, we remove the gearbox. Gonna put it off to the side so it's not in the way, and then we'll bring this engine and put it beside that one. Okay, so we have the engine side by side now. This one is looking a lot more smaller, but everything will go over to this one, and that should change once everything goes over this one. I'm just confused now of where to start, from the bottom up, from the top down, or just go randomly. But I just don't want to put on something and then not be able to get something else on because I already bolted something else on, if that makes any sense. So the clutch and flywheel can definitely go on. Then I think we're gonna move on to the fuel pump. Need to check if that needs to sit in a certain position on the belt because it's run off the main belt. I'll check that. I'm not too sure about that. We'll get the oil cooler on. I think few lines go here. So yeah, bit by bit we'll get there. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the new engine. I'm gonna remove the timing cover, the rocker cover. We'll see if everything is okay with the timing, how the fuel pump goes on. Then we can start putting in the fuel pump. Once we get it off that engine, get all the injectors in, make sure like the engine turns over, the timing is correct, because the fuel pump goes under the timing, so that's the thing, the most important thing. So we'll do the fuel pump. I think the common rail goes underneath here, as you can see on the old engine. So we're gonna start with all the bits on this side. So yeah, I'm gonna remove the covers and then we'll have a look. Okay, so we've got the covers off here, so we can get the timing marks set, and we've taken off the rocker cover. We're gonna have to clean up off all this old silicone that was applied. The camshaft marking is here, crankshaft marking is there, and obviously we need to time up the fuel pump. Once we get that in and timed, I'm gonna clean up everything here, put on the belt. So yeah, once we get the fuel pump in, we'll clean up everything, make sure it's all nice and clean and there's no leftover oil. We'll do all the timings, put on the belt, and then get this side all put back together, and hopefully I haven't made a mistake with the timing. I guess we'll find out in the next video when we try to start it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you keep up to date with the videos on the Astra. And don't forget, once we do sell it, we'll be buying our next car and flipping all the way till we get a supercar. Hopefully we don't need to flip for too long until we can afford a supercar. You can let me know down below in the comments what supercar we should buy. I don't want something that's worth like 3 billion or 3 million or whatever. I want something that I could use every day, something that'll be reliable, I can use all year round and take the kids to school, I guess. So yeah, if you have any ideas of what supercar we should go for, let me know down below in the comments. Okay, so I'm gonna swap over the fuel pump onto this engine. Now, I might have to do the common rail as well, because I might not be able to get to it once the fuel pump is in. So I'm gonna start dismantling this engine and see how everything goes back on. And then yeah, once we get everything on, I think I'm gonna complete this side with the timing belt, make sure it turns over, it's not hitting any valves, and everything is perfect. In that sense, that everything is perfect here, because well, it's the most important part of the engine, the timing. So once we make sure that's fine, we'll have everything back here. We'll get the injectors in, and yeah, bit by bit, we'll get this engine back together, and hopefully we'll have it ready for the next video to put the engine back in the bay and get it started. So while I was fiddling around here, I noticed that the intake of the EGR or whatever it is was completely clogged. I mean, like, the holes were so small. So what I'm gonna do as well is get a hoover and try to scrape up as much as I can from here as well. But as you can see, it comes apart, so it was quite easy to clean out. I mean, like, none of these were moving, so they were stuck. These holes were completely covered. There was like pinholes only. So the performance of the engine wasn't great, I guess, but now it'll be a lot better. As you can see on the engine that was in the Astra, it's quite bad as well. But I mean, on the engine that we bought, it was very bad. Like, you could only see a pinhole here. It was so caked. And this is all the stuff we cleaned out of it. So good thing I spotted that. It's gonna help the new engine run smoother. What I'm gonna do is apply some gasket sealant, put that back together. Clean up these I'll get a hoover and just scrape these with a screwdriver and hopefully get as much of that stuff as I can. And then yeah, just bolt it back on and continue with dismantling this engine, getting the fuel pump in, timing set up, and all the other stuff we talked about already. So yeah, once I get everything cleaned up here, that put together and back on the engine, we'll get to doing the other bits that need done. Okay, so let's get to work. Okay, so we have the intake manifold back on. We cleaned the manifold itself, the ports that go into the engine as far as I could get them. I've removed the old silicone around the rocker cover. I'm gonna cover this so nothing falls into the intake. I think the next step, what I want to do is get all this. I know I said I was gonna get the fuel pump back in and stuff, but I want to get everything here done so I can clean it up as well as I can and then put the cover on it. So when I'm washing and cleaning the engine, nothing falls inside. Because at the moment, the injectors aren't there, so the cylinders are opened and I don't want anything falling in there. So I think we're going to do the top, get the injectors into place. Once the injectors are in, I'm going to get the cover on. And that'll be it done with the very top of the engine. Then when we move down to here and here, when I'm cleaning everything, no debris should fall into the engine, which is always good, I guess. Well, shit. Okay, so I'm gonna pull the injectors out of that engine and yeah, get them in here, get them bolted down, and yeah, I still have to put the sensor back in here I removed when I was cleaning the intake. Get this vacuum thing back into place. So sensor, vacuum, get the injectors in, clean up everything here as much as possible. And yeah, that'll be the top done. Then we'll move on to, as I said, all the bits here. Okay, so we swapped the injectors over. The injectors are now in. We cleaned out the injector seats with this, put on the copper washer so everything's nice and clean and tightened down. So there shouldn't be any leaks. They all have good copper washers. They all tighten down well. I've cleaned up the very top as much as I can, so there's no debris or anything in here as much as possible. We're gonna get the rocker cover back on. Once the rocker cover is back on, we'll do all of the rings that go around the injectors and the fuel lines. They're all here. So we'll get the top fully built up. And then I think I'm gonna move on to doing this bit here, or I'll swap over this side here. I'm not too sure yet. It is getting quite late. It is a Sunday. So I won't be getting it finished tonight, but tomorrow after work, we're going to continue. And I'm pretty sure tomorrow after work, I finish at 5, going to go home, get something to eat, and then come down to the garage. And I'm pretty sure we'll be able to finish putting it all together tomorrow. So then the day after that, we'll hopefully get it ready, put in back into the car. So I'm hoping by the end of the week to have the engine back in, it running. Then we can move on to like getting the inside clean, polishing the body work, touching up the paint work in a few spots. Still need to order the wind mirror cap, but I don't want to be buying anything just yet because, well, I want to hear the engine running just in case we might need some other parts. I don't want to spend the remaining of the budget. So far we've spent €300 on the car, 120 on the engine, that's 420. Then we spent €10 polishing the front headlights, that's 430. And today we bought the silicone and the gun, which I think I'm gonna have to count as well into the budget. So that means we spent so far €440. So yeah, we don't have much left. Only €60 left in the bank. The interior clean isn't going to cost us anything because I have all the tools and chemicals and everything that I use for all the other cars. So that's not going to cost anything. Touch-up paint will be like €10-20, I guess. All the polishing stuff for the bodywork I also have for other cars, so that won't cost anything, thank God. And as far as I know, the wind mirror cap that we need, it costs around €20 or something like that, so 15-20 euros. So as long as we get the engine in and it starts without any problems and doesn't need anything else, I think we should be fine. We'll be left just to buy coolant, oil and oil filter. And don't forget, we'll be taking this engine back to the scrapyard, and hopefully we get a little bit money back for that. So when we started this challenge and I got this car, I did have my doubts that we were going to go over budget. But as I said, as long as the engine starts and doesn't have any problems, we should be good. We should stay underneath the €500 budget, and hopefully by next week have this car up for sale. And let's just hope it gets sold as soon as possible. Once it gets sold, we can take on another car. I'm hoping to get at least €1,000 for this car. So let me know down below in the comments what our next car should be. The budget will be a little bit higher, but don't forget, whatever we get for this car, I can't go over that budget again. So yeah, let me know down below if you have any ideas of what car I should buy. Or if you have a car for sale, also let me know. Okay, so let's get the cover back on. All these little bits put back on. And we'll move on to the next part. Whatever I take off, I'm not too sure yet. Whatever I take off, we'll just start putting it back on here. As I said, probably the fuel pump, because I want to do at least the rocker cover and the timing today. So then tomorrow is just all the other little bits that need to be swapped over, like the turbo and stuff like that. So hopefully today we do the rocker cover, the fuel pump, timing, and that'll be enough for today. Then I'll go home and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, so we have the rocker cover back on, all the gaskets for it. It is looking better, but there is still a lot of work left to do. I think what I'm going to do now is dismantle the fuel pump, the oil cooler, and the common rail. And then on that engine, fit the common rail, the fuel pump, and the oil cooler. And then after that, I'll get all the sensors and everything on this side. We'll get the timing done. And for this side, I think that's going to be it. We'll move on to the EGR, which needs to be cleaned up as well because it's quite filthy. So we'll clean that up, put that on. Then I think we'll move on to the clutch flywheel, and then we'll turn it around. I'll get all the alternators, AC compressors, turbos, everything off, and onto that. And yeah, then we can put it in the car. But yeah, we won't be putting it in the car today or tomorrow. It is already 8 o'clock in the evening. I still have to get home, get a shower, eat. And tomorrow, 7 o'clock, wake up for work. So I'm not going to spend much more time here today, but we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, that's enough for today. I'm going to head home. So far, since the last update, I got the oil cooler on, the common rail. So now we just have the fuel pump left to do. Got the fuel return lines in, the fuel feed lines. So on this side, pretty much all that's left is the fuel pump. And then this side will be, well, done. Then we'll move on to this corner, flywheel clutch, the timing belt, covers and everything. And then we'll go on to the other side. But that will be for tomorrow. So this is what the engine looks like now. So yeah, as you can see, the only thing that's left is the fuel pump. But I haven't removed the timing belt yet. So I'm going to remove the auxiliary belt, the pulley, get this plastic bit off, pull that belt off, and yeah, get that fuel pump on so we can time up that engine. And yeah, swap over the EGRs, clutches, turbos, compressors, alternators. So there's not too much work left. I'm hoping that tomorrow after work I can get all the bits on, get it all cleaned up, washed up. I do have to change, I think, a pipe or two in the engine bay. And then yeah, the day after that I might come after work and start putting the engine in because I really want to hear it start. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day, just finished work, so we're gonna head to the garage and continue with swapping all the bits over from the old engine to the new engine. Okay, so we're back in the garage. Yesterday we got the oil cooler, common rail, and the top done. So I think what I'm gonna do now straight away is get the fuel pump swapped over and do the timing. I'm gonna have to remove this pulley, plastic cover, so I can properly take off the belt. Once I remove the belt, I'll just unbolt the fuel pump and then we'll get it onto that engine. Once I have that done, I'll update you and yeah, we'll see what we do next. Okay, so from this side, we're pretty much done. There is a few sensors that need to go here. They're still on that engine, but we got the fuel pump on, oil cooler, common rail. Everything is pretty much done on this side. If you are gonna do this yourself on the same engine and you're changing the fuel pump, you have to get rid of so the little mistake I did was when I put the oil cooler and the common rail on first, first, it was quite tight to get this fuel pump on. I did manage with just loosening this bracket and undoing the bolts fully. I did get it in, but it would be a lot easier if the common rail wasn't in the way. So just keep that in mind if you're going to do the job. And then we got the timing belt on. So all the marks line up. I spun the engine around a few times. The marks all line up after even a few turns. So the timing should be fine. I swapped over the camshaft sensor. So this side and this side is pretty much done. We'll get the pulleys on, the covers, and then these two sides, except the sensors that I talked about, will be finished. The sensors that I'm talking about are these. So I have already removed them. They sit around here. But this pipe goes somewhere to the front, which I haven't figured out yet. So I think once we turn the engine around, because there's nothing else left to dismantle here. So I'm gonna, I think, turn it to the side and see where this pipe goes. So then we can attach the sensors, put on the covers, and then the back and the side will be done. I think then after that's completed, I'm gonna move on to doing the EGR, swap that over, and the pipes that go to the oil cooler and the heater matrix. So I'll get that lump fitted. I'll remove the clutch from this. We'll get it spun around and start dismantling the turbos, compressors, alternators, and everything. So I'm hoping tonight to have this engine fully ready. I'm not too sure how much we'll get done tonight, but hopefully we get everything swapped over and cleaned up, so then we're all ready to put the engine back in the car. So yeah, really excited to get this engine back in the car and started. I'm praying to God that it starts, runs, and everything is okay with it. Sorry if I'm not filming all the steps that I'm doing, but I'm on limited time. I want to get this done as soon as possible. Maybe one day, if I do get famous on YouTube, I'll be able to quit my job and work on cars full time. But till that day, we'll have to carry on like this. Alright, so I'm gonna finish this side, putting on the pulleys, making sure everything is tight, everything is how it should be, putting on all the covers. I'll try to see if I can remove them sensors without dismantling the front. So I can get this side done fully, everything will be done here, and then we can move on to the next step. Let's continue working. Okay, so we've removed the compressor, tensioner, alternator from the engine. We've also have the turbo, the EGR cooler, brackets, and all that stuff off this engine already. I decided to do the back before I moved on to this because that needs cleaning and stuff, so that'll take me longer, which I'll probably do tomorrow. So now I'm gonna get that engine turned around. Still need to take off the turbo oil feed, the EGR cooler pipes, the bracket for the exhaust. Once I have them few bits off, we can start putting everything back onto that engine. And after that is done, all that's left is the EGR here, which I might leave till tomorrow because it's getting late again. I thought I'd be able to finish everything tonight, but it's taking a little bit longer than expected. I don't want to rush it and then forget something and then for something to go wrong. So I'm just taking my time and going bit by bit so I don't make any mistakes. But yeah, we don't have much left. As long as we get the turbo EGR coolers and all them brackets mounted up to date, I'll be happy enough. And as I said, tomorrow then we'll move on to the EGR, all the little pipes, and that'll be it. We'll get the gearbox on, the clutch, the flywheel, and it'll be ready to go back into the car. So yeah, what I'm gonna do now is remove them few pipes, feed pipes, coolant pipes, turn this engine around and start getting everything back. As you can see, I got the sensors and everything plugged in here. All the vacuums, everything is connected. So this connects to the car. This connects to the car itself. Everything else on this side is done. Well, the little pipes here for coolant, but that's going to be when we're doing the EGR, when we remove the EGR from that engine. So yeah, I'm going to get this engine turned around and start putting on the turbo, the manifold, all the brackets, the coolant, the feed. And yeah, that'll probably be enough for today. So once I get that done, I'll update you before I go home. Okay, so I'm done for today. I thought I'd be able to get everything done today, but to be fair, there's not much left to do tomorrow. So this is what the engine looks like now. We have the covers back on, the turbo, the cooler, manifold, brackets and stuff. So the other side, the top, this side and the back is done. So all we have left to do is remove this EGR from the old engine, swap it onto that, go over everything, make sure we haven't forgotten anything. So tomorrow after work, I'm gonna double check everything that I've done, swap over the EGR, clean it up, and then we can get the gearbox on. So tomorrow will be an easy day, I guess. All we have left to do is switching over the EGR, checking everything, putting on the gearbox, the starter, making sure everything's plugged up as it should be. And yeah, that'll be it done, ready to go back in. And then the following day, I'll see how I feel and maybe we'll get the engine into the car. So I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the week. Today is Monday. So yesterday on Sunday we did get quite a bit done. Today, Monday, we're pretty much done. Tomorrow's Tuesday, we'll be 100% finished swapping everything over. So then Wednesday, Thursday, I'm hoping to get it in and hopefully started, and then we can move on to getting the car polished, cleaned, paint touch-ups and everything else it needs. So let's just hope once we get the engine in, everything's fine. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's day 3 of swapping all the bits over from one engine to the other engine. I finished work and now I'm on my way to the garage, and hopefully, I'm pretty sure that today we'll have everything finished. That is, swapping all the parts over from one engine to the other engine, getting everything prepped for putting it back into the car. So today I'm not going to be putting it back into the car or anything like that. That'll be for the next video. But today, let's get the engine finished. So fully everything swapped over, double check everything. Then I'll jump into the engine bay, check all the cables. I did cut off a pipe or two that I'll need to repair because it wouldn't come off. So yeah, today is the final day of swapping the bits over. Once everything is swapped, double check everything, and in the next video you'll see me putting it back into the Astra and hopefully starting it. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification button and comment down below of what the next car should be in this project. So yesterday we left off with pretty much everything done. So this side is complete, the other side is complete. Here I think is pretty much done. All that's left to do is swap over the EGR from this onto this, and then double check everything and get the gearbox on, well, clutch and flywheel as well. And that'll be it. We'll be finally finished swapping everything over. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I think today, is remove this and get it cleaned up because it is a little bit filthy. So yeah, I'm gonna get that off. Might put on that bracket that holds the compressor and alternator. I'm not going to put the alternator on the compressor until the engine is in the car, but I'll put on this bracket that holds them because that shouldn't get in the way. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so once I get all the bits that we just talked about swapped over, I'll update you. Okay, finally. So the engine is up on the crane. I got the EGR on. We got the flywheel, the clutch on. Thank God that was in good condition. The clutch was like brand new. So basically everything all around the engine is complete. Everything that needs to be on is on except the AC compressor and the alternator and the gearbox, of course. But apart from that, everything that needs to be on the engine is on the engine. So all that's left to do with this is to fit the EGR pipe that goes from the manifold to the EGR, which I might do that when the engine is back in the car. The alternator or the AC compressor will do when it's on the car. A little bit more room to get it back in. I think I might just put on the gearbox today and that's it. We'll be finished. And then in the next video, what we'll be doing is getting it back into the car. And fingers crossed, everything works as it should. Everything runs. There's no more knocking sound like there was in the old engine. Nothing leaks, nothing falls off or breaks or blows up or whatever. I'm just hoping for the best, because if there's something wrong with this engine, I really don't know what I'm gonna do. But let's not even talk about that, because it's gonna work. Let's just say it's gonna work, so then it will work. And yeah, because well, we've pretty much used up all the budget, so we can't afford for it not to work. So yeah, that was 3 days of work. So Sunday, Monday, and today is Tuesday. Obviously, I'm only here from 6 to 8 or 9, so only like a couple of hours a day, but I didn't even expect it to take me that long. I thought I'd be able to swap all the bits over in one evening, but yeah, I guess I was wrong. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please do subscribe. It does help out the channel and helps me grow and encourages me to keep making these videos for you. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video when we get this engine back into the engine bay and get it started. I'm gonna keep the old engine here. There is a few sensors and stuff on it, but once we get the Astra running and we know this engine is good, we'll bring this to the scrapyard, get some money back for it, and then we can spend it on the Astra, getting it polished, cleaned, mirror cap replaced, and another few bits. And then finally, we can put it up for sale. And once it's sold, we'll be buying our next car. Which car will we buy next? I don't know yet. If you have any ideas, leave a comment down below. See you in the next one.